Let's take you back to our top story, which is Bangladesh, which has a new interim government headed by Nobel Peace Laureate Muhammad Yunus, an economist as well. There's a whole team that's been put in place, and the first order of the day for this government is to restore law and order, a semblance of normalcy to Bangladesh, caught in the tumult of well, a regime change by a people's movement, so to speak. We have Harshvardhan Shringla with us, former Foreign Secretary of India and former High Commissioner to Bangladesh as well, joining us this evening to talk about it. Welcome to DD India. Mr. Shringla, what do you make of the situation now that has developed in Bangladesh with the Nobel laureate, a peace laureate and economist heading an interim government which needs to do a lot to ensure that Bangladesh gets out of that phase that it's gotten into because of tumultuous events really in the past few weeks, not just days?
Well, Professor Yunus has his work cut out for him. I think the last few days since the exit of Sheikh Hasina has seen a growing law and order situation. There has been, a lot of reports of incidents of looting, burning properties, of the massacre of people, policemen, Awami League cadres, those associated with the previous government, and vulnerable sections of society, including minorities. Even posh localities in Dhaka have been witnessed attacks on a lot of the colonies there. And I think this is obviously something that the new interim administration has to bring under control. I mean, this is clearly the first task before it. And Professor Yunus and his team will need to quickly restore normalcy, ensure that there is, a climate of peace and stability, and the violence that is being, sort of not sporadic, but almost across the country has to be brought under control as soon as possible.
How challenging is that task in itself? Because the police have gone on a strike. They feel that they are themselves not safe with the kind of situation that had developed, although now with a lot of appeals being made by not just Muhammad Yunus, by the army chief as well, even the students' leaders who were spearheading that agitation against we can call it the erstwhile government, now the Hasina government. Do you think that things will fall into place? It's just a matter of time, or it will still prove to be, it will take some doing?
Well, according to some reports, as many as 450 policemen have been killed in this violence, in this recent violence, and obviously it will take some time, to get active duty policemen back in their posts, and of course there is also a loss of confidence in the law and order authorities. So it cuts both ways. The army itself has largely been bystanders to many of these incidents. And it would need certainly a lot of effort by all concerned to get things back on track. I've seen that the army chief himself has made certain changes in the army top hierarchy. They've also replaced the IG of police and the police commissioner of Dhaka. And I think the idea is to have people who can then get the police force working and get law and order back on track.
How critical is the composition of this interim government beyond Muhammad Yunus to this goal of getting things back to a semblance of normalcy?
Well, it depends on who really calls the shots. I mean, you have an interim administration, but it's not clear who, if there is any force behind it. Is it the military? Is it the Jamaat-e-Islami? Is it the BNP, the opposition political party? Is it a combination of those? Who are the forces that control the interim administration? Will they be given a free hand to carry out, their responsibilities? And is it adequate to have a group of, people put together who don't have a mandate, who only have been appointed for an interim period to govern? Would they be up to the task? So these are the questions that are there. I think from every standpoint, obviously there is an expectation that they would minimally, bring the situation back to normal, and then get about the task of running and governing a country as large and populous as Bangladesh is.
Now, India has already expressed its key concerns, like many other countries around the world that they want to see things come back to normal. And India, of course, has a special relationship with Bangladesh, which goes beyond geographical proximity. So, what would be in India's best interest here?
Well, over the last 15 years or so, we have developed a very multifaceted relationship that goes beyond governments, and clearly it is based on people-to-people contact. Cultural ties of culture, ethnicity, language are very, very important. But in addition to that, there is trade and investment, there is a security cooperation, there is a connectivity, progress made on a range of areas that connect the two countries. And I think it's in the interest of both countries that all of these initiatives that have been put into place and for the mutual benefit of the people of both countries are allowed to progress and develop further. And I think getting the bilateral, very, very extensive bilateral, relationship back on track is also very important.
And that includes trade as well, which too has been disrupted across even land borders. And what about the people-to-people ties? Because we've seen instances of people of Indian origin wanting to get back to the country. Many have already. And that is something that is also being managed on the Indian side, which is what we've been informed about from the Ministry of External Affairs as well. Do you feel that that is something that could become smoother if in case people do want to come at this juncture back to the country?
Well, all of these are important. Trade, Bangladesh has emerged as our fifth largest trading partner. And so a disruption in trade is not good for both countries. As far as people are concerned, I think there are about some 19,000 Indian nationals who live and work in Bangladesh. Many of them, I believe, have returned. And the others who want to return, I think we should be able to facilitate their return. But in addition to that, there's also a concern, that those who are fleeing persecution in Bangladesh and those minorities who are being persecuted should also be allowed. I mean, these are reports that we are seeing, and these are concerns that are being voiced. Clearly, there have been incidents in the past, a number of incidents, right from 1971, 1991. Every decade practically has seen a major, a sort of a program of human rights violations against the minority community, the Hindu community in Bangladesh. And I think in today's context, in today's India, a much more robust, powerful India, which is not just a regional power, but an aspiring world power under the government of Prime Minister Modi, I don't think we can allow this to happen, and we should not allow this to happen. We should absolutely make it clear to any administration that any widespread attack on minority communities would be the responsibility of the military and the interim administration, all those responsible for governing Bangladesh at this point of time. And the repercussions of any such action would be very, very severe. I think we should absolutely preempt any such incidents from taking place. I mean, of course, needless to say, any such thing would have a huge impact on us, and we as a country and as a people have to make sure that those protections are afforded to those communities. I mean, after all, the minority community in Bangladesh, which was 35% in 1971 or 1947, has come down to about 9% now. And I don't think that country can see any further dilution in that composition, which makes it a secular country. It will then, change its character completely. And having minorities in Bangladesh gives it the vibrancy and the communal, inter-ethnicities that are very, very important to that composition. And it's in Bangladesh's interest to preserve that character. So we have to make it very clear that that cannot happen under any circumstance. I think that is a very important message. Even as we speak, there are atrocities on minorities, but though not widespread. We have to prevent any widespread incidents of this nature, which are possible, given the historic
well, it seems that Mohammed Yunus has also said things in a way to address this particular problem. But let me ask you also this: is it even pertinent to ask at this juncture when will democracy return to Bangladesh?
There are many reports. I mean, clearly, it would take time for any interim administration to prepare an environment conducive for the restoration of democracy, possibly elections held again, if that's the idea. Some opposition parties have spoken about 3 months. I think the students' representatives have talked about 3 years. Perhaps it would, there's something between those two, timelines that could sort of actually be implementable. But we are just getting off the ground, and we have to see what really happens there. But clearly, it will take time. It is not going to be something that can be done immediately. There is a lot of effort that is needed to create the ground necessary for a restoration of democracy that is mandated by the people.
And do you also get a sense that politics perhaps in Bangladesh will change from here?
Yes, I mean, politics will change, but at the same time, there's a tendency in politics to come full circle. So nothing can be ruled out, and nothing really can be taken for granted. I mean, it's very, very difficult to say. The situation is very fluid. What seems to be anathema today would be very, very acceptable tomorrow. And what would today seem acceptable would be completely ruled out, down the line. So I think that is something that we have to watch that space. We can't rule out anybody or any entity as of now.
Thank you for speaking to us this evening, Mr. Harshvardhan Shringla. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.